Okay, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well today. So, Tszyu and Bud Crawford is a potential fight that, has been spoken about, which is an excellent fight. Bud Crawford, he's in a little bit of a who can I fight situation right now. I know there are a couple of fights on the table, but realistically, those fights, like the Boots fight, do you blame him for not taking that fight? I certainly don't. That is a high risk, low reward fight. And it's also, he knows what kind of a talent Boots is. We all do. It's a sensational fighter, and he would give Bud Crawford a lot of problems. Perhaps might even beat him. I probably would favor Bud Crawford. He's the best fighter in the world, but that's a tough fight. But also understandable why you don't take that fight. Now, obviously, Tszyu's been calling Bud out. That's an excellent fight as well. Excellent fight, but Tszyu's tied up with Jermaine Ortiz. Not an easy fight. I'll make a video about that in probably about a week or so. It's on the February the 8th. But that's a potential fight. That's a mind you, Tszyu's at top rank, right? Bud left top rank. Fair, I know he had a bit of a feud with Bob Arum. Will he want to do work with him again? That's something to think about. Maybe if it's an isolated one fight contract just to fight. That's a massive fight against Tszyu. He brings a lot of problems to the table, but then you have, I don't know where Jamel Charlo is. He's probably moving up to 160 maybe. Rumors are his brother's fighting Canelo. If that's true, that's a shame. It's not a really good fight, only because I think Jamel's messed up the bag a little bit for that. It just doesn't sound as appealing. If Jamal was the first one in there, I think, we'd all be really excited for that. That was a fight that we were trying to call a few years ago, but now it's happening. It's a bit of a for me, but nonetheless, Bud Crawford and Tszyu, that's an excellent fight. And look, Crawford alluded to the fact that he was almost 1 foot out of the game. He said he might have one more fight and then exit. He's 36 now. Do you know what I mean? But that is a big fight for for boxing, and for those two guys, that would be a big money. Tszyu's got a big fan base in Australia. Whether it be in Australia or in America, I know Tszyu's management company were trying to get his name out a bit more in the US. Could that be in Vegas? That's a tough fight. Very tough fight. He's an excellent fighter. He's very underrated, Tszyu, and he's coming off an immensely good year with activity. 3 fights, 3 wins, all by... No, not by knock. Mendoza win the distance, but dominating fashion, really. He put in a great year, and he's getting better and better and better. And he comes forward, and he comes to fight. And as I made a video about his defense is superb. Link up here. But obviously, look, Bud Crawford's the best fighter in the world. We'd probably favour him, definitely. But he is moving up. He's been a bit inactive as well. He's a bit older as well. You got to pay. These things are factors, let's be honest. But nonetheless, that would be an excellent fight. And even if Tszyu would probably lose that fight, I personally think he'd probably give Bud Crawford his best fight yet. And, he hasn't really had a competitive fight, in all honesty. I don't know who, maybe Sean Porter would be. Or Mean Machine gave him some issues. I don't know who Bud's toughest fight would be. He's knocked everybody out in welterweight, and no, it's just an amazing special fight, or witnessing greatness, and that is a great fight. Tszyu versus Bud Crawford is a great fight. What do you guys think? Where do you think that should be? Bud would quite easily travel to Australia in terms of how the fight would go. Look, Tszyu would do what he does, and he'd come on the front foot, and he's got that very kind of active high guard. He can counter punch on the front foot, and look, Tszyu's got a mean shoulder roll as well. I made a video about his I did a breakdown full video, which the link is the one I left, and then I did a minute long for some of the highlights. He can shoulder roll and come back with uppercuts. It's a little sloppy. It's not as clean and cute as a lot of other dudes that can shoulder roll, but it's effective. And I think Tszyu's defense catches a lot of people by surprise, and just how good he is too, and how much he's improving. So, like I said, when you break down the inactivity and the age and just, the momentum Tszyu's got, I think it would be slightly competitive. I do. He'd have moments for sure. Just the weight as well. It'd be a very interesting fight. But obviously, skills pay the bills. We know that, and Bud Crawford has got tremendous skills. He's just got you can tick every everything on there. And Bud Crawford is very good at basically everything and elite at many things. That's why he's so good. But it'd be a shame to not get this guy in competitive fights, really. Do you know what I mean? Because he's going to be out of the sport before we know it. He's 36. And we always love to see great fighters in a challenge. You know, that's one of the most amazing things to see in boxing, is when top fighters get challenged and we see the best and we get the best out of them, because he's got gears to go. You know, Bud Crawford's got gears still left in him. He really has. I don't think he's been out of gear 3 or 4 yet, really. He barely got out of gear 2 against Errol Spence. I mean, think about that. You know, when fighters go to gear 4 or 5, that's when you see the best out of them. Because we haven't seen that yet. And he hasn't needed to. But will Tim Tszyu make him shift a few more gears? I think that fight should be next. I have a funny feeling it's going to be next, to be honest with you. Because when you look at Tim Tszyu in terms of what he can do, well, look, he's fought a lot of the top guys in there. Jamel didn't really want that smoke. It doesn't seem to really want that smoke. And Tim Tszyu said he would follow him up to 160. So we'll see if that happens. But outside of him, look, I suppose Fondora's still in the mix, although he's coming off a brutal knockout loss from Brian Mendoza, who Tim Tszyu just beat. Mendoza, he knocked out Tony Harrison, beat Ocampo. I mean, the other fighters at 154, look, Virgil Ortiz, I made a video about him recently. Would like to see him have one more fight before he steps into a world title fight, just for activity and really deserving it as well, you know. Shout out to somebody that mentioned that. I made a video about the 154s or Ortiz and Tim Tszyu, and someone's like, well, he doesn't really deserve it, you know, which is true. But boxing doesn't necessarily work like that, does it? But look, excellent fight. Terence Crawford versus Tim Tszyu. He's got a belt as well. WBO, and that would be another accolade where he could move up in weight and get another world title. But Tim Tszyu will have something to say about this. He's a tremendous fighter, and I highly rate him, and I've been paying a lot more attention to him, and he's got some subtle skills there. And like I said, he's got just an utter determination of just trying to get better and better and better. And I've got so much respect for that, because he's not content with, you know, with where he is, where his style is. And that's a dangerous fighter, you know, because right now, he's probably in there working on his craft and what he probably might think he could get better at, because he's been doing it. And this past year, 2023, he got so much better. You can see it in his posture and how he fights, and how much more looser and how much more confidence he's getting. And his concentration is amongst the best. He's so concentrated, and that is a skill that, it's almost like IQ, you know. Concentration levels are really hard to teach, but when you really like have it drilled in like Tszyu, and he focuses so hard, everything slows down. That's why his defense is so good, even in the mid-range. So tough fight for Crawford. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. We've got loads of videos coming today. I hope you guys have a good weekend. I hope it's a little bit warmer where you are, because it's really cold here in New York. It's about 16 degrees, but it's okay. We'll roll with the punches and we keep going. But that's it from me. Peace and love. I'm out.